Gird your loins, my friends. This video is going to be difficult.
I forgive you.
Is there any other line in this show that isn't about nightingales, that hits viewers harder? Season 2 opens and closes with Aziraphale expressing forgiveness. Understanding what Aziraphale means when he says it and why he says it are essential to understanding not only Aziraphale, but one of the main themes of this entire season. Aziraphale and his views on forgiveness are intrinsically linked to how he views himself and the people around him, and how he understands the world and how it is supposed to work. Aziraphale, like all well-written characters, is flawed. He's prone to black and white thinking that can lead him to be misguided. He's sometimes almost willfully naive, stubborn, and myopic, and also a little self-righteous. I saw one person in my comments say that he has weaponized pedantry.
Oh, look. No gears, just a perfectly normal velocipede. Bicycle.
But he's also extremely clever, gentle, caring, and protective. He has an infectious enthusiasm for almost everything. He tends to see the good in others, even when they might have a hard time seeing it themselves. Some people, himself included, think he's soft, but he is stronger than he realizes. Yes, he lets Crowley rescue him, but he also generally has a plan for how to handle things on his own. He's able to admit when he's wrong and face the consequences of his own actions, and of course, he's very forgiving. It's one of his favorite things. In the opening scene, present day of Season 2, Aziraphale forgives the debt owed to him by his tenant Maggie. Forgiving Maggie her rent was something she wanted and greatly appreciated. It was something she felt she'd done wrong, not paying her debt, and she was terribly distraught about it. So his forgiveness here is a positive, healing, kind forgiveness. It was desired, but all forms of forgiveness are not created equal. Neil has stated on Tumblr, I just realized I say this in every video, but he does post updates and answer questions there pretty regularly. So he stated that a companion to owls is essential to Aziraphale's character development. Personally, I think it's the most important minisode of the series, and so I intend to make a full breakdown and analysis of the whole thing soon. But for now, let's just talk about this scene. This is the first time, chronologically speaking, that Aziraphale expresses some sort of forgiveness at Crowley. Let's take a really close look at this scene.
And I don't think you want it either.
What do you know about what I want?
I know you.
You do not know me.
I know the angel you were.
The angel you knew is not me.
There's a push and pull going on in the dialogue here. Crowley is trying to push Aziraphale away, but Aziraphale won't accept that answer and continues to push his faith in Crowley.
Then you tell me that you want to do this. You look me in the eye. You tell me.
Here, Crowley takes off his glasses and lies right to Aziraphale's face.
I long to destroy the blameless children of blameless Job.
Crowley is pushing back hard here. Whenever Crowley feels this sort of emotional turmoil, and this conversation is clearly pushing all of his past trauma to the forefront, he reminds Aziraphale that he's not nice, that he's a demon. He pushes Aziraphale away, or he just walks away, or both.
May God forgive you.
Crowley has conveyed that this person Aziraphale thought he knew for eons really is gone, and this demon is all that's left. Aziraphale is crushed. The forgiveness he wishes for Crowley in this moment is genuine and comes from a place of kindness and compassion for his old friend. This genuine compassion is important because this is the moment I believe Crowley makes the decision to be vulnerable to Aziraphale, just for a moment, to test the waters of trust for the first time since his fall. He lets the crows make goat noises, and then he's waiting to see how Aziraphale will react. His face shows that he's nervous and a little hopeful. By revealing the goat's true nature to Aziraphale, Crowley is also revealing his own. Aziraphale still clings to the idea that heaven is good and that hell is evil, even though he's seen evidence that refutes this. He struggles with quite a lot of cognitive dissonance.
We're hereditary enemies. Get thee behind me, foul fiend. After you.
Cognitive dissonance isn't just the act of holding conflicting beliefs, it's also the mental turmoil caused by those conflicting beliefs. And oh boy, do we see a lot of evidence for this turmoil. In episode 3 of season 1, Aziraphale has just gone to heaven with the intent of putting things right, but upon realizing Gabriel and the other archangels are determined to have their war, He decides to withhold the information he has on the Antichrist. Just a little while later, at the bandstand, Aziraphale also decides not to tell Crowley the truth. Then he invokes God's great plan as a shield to deflect the discomfort of his own cognitive dissonance, something he frequently resorts to when he doesn't personally agree with heaven's actions. But mention of the great plan prompts Crowley to curse.
For the record, great pestilent mangled bollocks to the great blasted plan!
Aziraphale responds by wishing forgiveness on Crowley.
May you be forgiven.
His voice even cracks with emotion. He's not just defending heaven, he's defending himself and his identity as an angel. And here I would like to explain why I think Aziraphale responds this way, as if Crowley's words were a personal attack on him. The syllogistic fallacy is a logical fallacy where two related ideas are used to reach a not necessarily related conclusion. In this case, his thought process would go something like this. I am an angel and I am good. Angels come from heaven, therefore heaven is good. His identity as a good person and as an angel is so strong and so important to him that he transfers that self-identity to the larger category of heaven. Simply put, Aziraphale is conflating his own goodness with heaven's. So when Crowley curses the great plan, Aziraphale feels it as an attack on his own personal identity. The first time Aziraphale says this much more personal form of forgiveness, not asking for God's forgiveness or that Crowley be forgiven, is right after Crowley calls him an idiot for believing that he can
have a word with the Almighty, and then the Almighty will fix it.
This time, it's expressed in a personal way.
I forgive you.
Aziraphale is upset and he thinks he's taking the high road by not calling Crowley an idiot back or some other angry response he might later regret. He doesn't know this is about the worst response he can give. He still doesn't realize he may as well slap Crowley across the face as say this. Of course, a better response would be to explain that Crowley just hurt his feelings and be honest, but both of these supernatural entities struggle with emotional honesty. The next time Aziraphale says this, expressed again in this personal way, is right after Crowley kisses him. This is really hard to analyze without looking at the whole scene from Aziraphale's perspective, so here goes. Aziraphale, whose identity as a good person is still strongly wrapped up in his view of heaven, just found out that he might be able to fix it. He's been trying to take the issues that he's learned about on Earth up to a higher authority for years, only to be rebuffed again and again, and now he's being offered the chance to be that higher authority, and he gets to share it with the one person he loves. Crowley has never shared his trauma with Aziraphale, so he doesn't have the tools or the information to understand why Crowley would turn this down. He still doesn't understand why Crowley was cast down. He still doesn't know how deeply wounded Crowley is. He loves who Crowley is on the inside, and that person, that core, is the same person through all the ages. I think that Aziraphale has never stopped seeing Crowley as the angel he once knew, and I realize that's a problem. Because Aziraphale associates goodness with heaven, he can't seem to separate the core of Crowley, the good person that he loves, from that angelic identity, just as he can't seem to separate his own identity from heaven. In every other respect, Aziraphale has quickly and easily accepted every identity that Crowley has adopted by choice.
Well, it must be bad. Crowley.
So what is it now? Mephistopheles? Asmodeus?
Crowley.
Mr. Anthony J. Crowley, your fame precedes you.
Anthony?
You don't like it?
No, I didn't say that. I'll get used to it.
Including his feminine presentations. Once he learns to abandon his black and white worldview, I think he'll be able to see Crowley as the good person that he loves without feeling the need to label him in a way that Crowley no longer wants to be labeled. So, all Aziraphale is thinking at this moment is that the person he loves and has known for almost all of his existence is right here with him. The person who helped him save Earth once already. The person who's been there with him, helping him make almost every moral choice he's ever made. So why wouldn't he want to help fix things? When Crowley interrupts to tell him what he wanted to say, you can see that Aziraphale is completely confused. He just offered Crowley the chance to make everything right as he sees it, and he got an angry refusal, followed by this.
Group of the two of us. And we've spent our existence pretending that we aren't.
Do you see this little change of expression? This is cognitive dissonance. He knows what Crowley is saying is true. They have spent their existence pretending that they aren't.
Shut it! I'm a demon, I'm not nice.
Aziraphale especially has done this.
How long have we been friends? 6,000 years.
Friends, we're not friends.
Oh, he's not my friend. We've never met before. We don't know each other.
We have nothing whatsoever in common. I don't even like you.
But at the same time, in his heart, it isn't true at all. He's never actually felt those things he said. He's never stopped caring about Crowley since the day they met. He's only actually grown to care more. When Crowley offers to run off, just the two of them, Aziraphale is shaking his head, but not in rejection of Crowley. His very next words are,
Come with me.
The rest of this conversation is just Aziraphale being completely hurt and confused by Crowley's reaction to everything he says. When Crowley feels emotionally overwhelmed, he starts to walk away, as he tends to do, and Aziraphale tries to stop him and makes his offer again, almost in tears, his own desperate plea. When Crowley says he understands the offer a whole lot better than Aziraphale, he's right. But that's the point, isn't it? Aziraphale doesn't understand. Crowley points out the lack of nightingales and that they aren't going to be together, calling him an idiot. Aziraphale turns away to hide his emotions. He's already totally overwhelmed. Then Crowley runs at him and gives him the angriest, most desperate, full of pleading and hurt and pain, unasked for kiss probably in the history of ever. And just like the kiss, this
I forgive you.
is full of hurt and anger. He's emotionally overwhelmed and has no idea how to respond, so he falls back on what he knows, and in doing so, pushes Crowley away. And so we end right back where we started. Aziraphale forgiving someone. Where it was caring when said with generosity of spirit, it is unkind when said in anger. Where Maggie desired forgiveness, Crowley does not. Where it was healing when given to someone who wanted it, it is hurtful when given to someone who doesn't. Aziraphale has a childlike innocence about him, and Crowley fosters that. It's something he loves very much about Aziraphale, that infectious enthusiasm, that he wants to learn magic even though he can do miracles, that he wants to learn French even though he already speaks every language. By withholding certain information, Crowley has protected that innocence as he could not protect his own. Aziraphale sees forgiveness as the noblest and least confrontational way to express personal emotional hurt and to reestablish his own feeling of goodness and connection to heaven. Crowley sees forgiveness as a reminder of his past trauma, being unfairly punished. Aziraphale doesn't understand the hurt he's causing Crowley by saying it because Crowley has protected him from that knowledge all this time. Aziraphale's identity is heavily tied to being an angel, and therefore he still has a strong emotional connection to heaven, and associates both with being good. He often struggles with cognitive dissonance. Something I noticed is that when Crowley points out that heaven is being terrible, Aziraphale touches his ring. As I established in a recent video decoding the ring, it's an important link for him to heaven.
I don't think that is what God wants.
When he fidgets with the ring, I think this is a sign that he's experiencing that severe inner turmoil, his own morality conflicting with heaven. He's reminding himself of this connection. Forgiveness can be a virtue when given in kindness to someone seeking it, but when given to someone who doesn't feel they've done anything wrong, when given in anger or in pain, it can do far more harm than good. Aziraphale doesn't have the traumatic background of Crowley, but that doesn't mean he hasn't, if you'll pardon the phrase, had his own demons to fight. In many ways, I think he has a harder road ahead of him than Crowley does. They both have growth and change they need to make to be together, but Aziraphale is facing a foundational change to the way he views himself and how the entire universe works. Crowley has already been forced to redefine himself, to pick up the pieces that someone else broke and put them back together into a being named Crowley. Aziraphale has yet to learn how to define himself without relying on heaven. I believe his greatest struggle is still before him, and it's going to be a struggle with himself. He's an angel who's had his own ideas from at least the time of Eden, but is in a constant internal battle of wills between what he's been told is right and what he knows is right. He's his own person, capable of taking action by himself, which we see with the flaming sword and with the thing with the halo, and Crowley has helped him find the strength to assert his own morality more and more, to question an individual belief here and there on a case-by-case basis, when he was having a hard time doing it alone. But these individual actions and lessons haven't yet penetrated the deeper foundational worldviews that are the root cause of these ongoing internal struggles. And I think something's going to have to cause a break in this foundation, and Aziraphale will have to remake himself, redefine himself by what he believes, by who he is, and let go of heaven. In addition, while I was researching the scapegoat ritual that I think is symbolic for Crowley, I discovered that the ritual always includes two goats. There's the one upon whom all the sins are heaped and is sent out into the desert. The other goat is sacrificed to Yahweh. Aziraphale's signet ring has a lion, and Adam kills a lion in the desert outside of Eden. It was Aziraphale that was already threatened with erasure from existence. There's some symbolism here that indicates to me that Aziraphale is the other goat, the sacrificial one. I'm not saying I think he'll be killed outright, that's too literal. It's more that heaven intends to destroy the parts of him, the things that make him him. How exactly that will play out, of course, I don't know. But I do think all the clues are there and point to it being him that's in danger of destruction. My heart really goes out to Aziraphale. Some fans tend to think he's selfish, ignorant, and more to blame for things that went wrong in the season finale, but I think that's because we find it easier to relate to Crowley. His trauma is more apparent. As one of my subscribers put it, he has a God-shaped wound in him. We can all see it. But Aziraphale is equally conflicted, maybe even more so, and he's got some serious suffering ahead of him. So in closing, I'm just pleading with fans for a bit more empathy for this angel who has spent his existence struggling so hard to do what's right. In Season 2, Episode 2, Crowley is still Crawley. He hasn't changed his name yet. We know that he makes the change sometime between this time and when he next sees Aziraphale at the crucifixion. Let's listen again.
Just as I destroyed his blameless goats.
The blameless goats, a reference to the blameless scapegoat, just like him. The goats that he did not destroy, but instead transformed into crows. This video dealt with a few delicate topics, and I hope I didn't offend anyone. It's my goal to be inclusive, and I hope I achieved that here. It was also a pretty emotionally taxing video to make. I really tried to put myself in Aziraphale's shoes and see the world as he sees it, and in doing so, I found my own understanding of his character grew. I hope you find this video similarly enlightening. I have to thank my friend Emily. She's always helpful, but was particularly so this time. She really helped me get all of my thoughts organized into something coherent. And my friends Rapunzel and Koala Sadai, who have both been there when I needed someone to bounce an idea off of. I would also like to thank all of my new patrons since I made my announcement. As of Monday, Brackawoozle, By the Bentley, Melissa Albert, Kyra, Melissa Nocera, Melody Penna, Seaweed Otter, Heather Glidden, Fish, Kristen, River, Black of July, Maya Am, Christina, and Marie. I sincerely apologize if I mispronounced your name. If you would like to join the new Patreon community we're building, check out the link in the description. I intend to start premiering my Thursday videos so that viewers can share their thoughts as they watch. Let me know if you like this idea. It's not fixed in stone. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, thanks for watching.